I never imagined a dishwasher could turn the tables on millionaire chefs with one incredible dish. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The sound of clattering plates echoed in the kitchen. It was chaos. Chefs screaming, pots boiling over, and the pungent aroma of burnt garlic filling the air. My heart raced. I stood there among the chaos, trembling hands sifting through ingredients that felt as heavy as lead. This was my moment. My chance to prove everyone wrong that I was just a dishwasher, but I had dreams. Dreams that danced around my mind like delicate soufflés ready to rise. Yet every day the million-dollar chefs strutted past me, their ivory jackets reflecting arrogance. They didn't see me, they didn't care. My parents sacrificed everything for me to be there. Their hopes weighed on my shoulders like a mountain. I pictured their faces as I worked tirelessly, wiping down counters while dreams of culinary glory simmered in my heart. Then, something unexpected happened. A forgotten ingredient caught my eye. Miso. Dense and earthy. A faint glimmer of hope sparked in my mind. I could combine it with that leftover risotto. The chefs were too busy arguing about Michelin stars. They wouldn't notice. Would they? I quickly moved, sweat trickling down my back, anxiety tightening my chest. But as the clock ticked down, the tension grew. The kitchen was a beast ready to unleash itself. Each frantic shout felt like a thunderclap, causing me to flinch. This felt wrong. I was breaking the rules. Chefs didn't like rule breakers. Yet there I was stirring, praying that my creation wouldn't just be an afterthought. When my dish came together, a silence fell. I took a deep breath, then sent it across the kitchen. I could feel the stares. Eyes narrowed, lips pressed into disapproving lines. The head chef stopped. His brows knitted together. Was he going to taste it? My heart thumped in my throat. He reached for the fork, and the entire kitchen held its breath. Tension thickened the air, a raw, palpable thing. Would he love it? Hate it? I could almost hear the collective heartbeat of the kitchen. Then he took a bite. The world froze. No sounds, no whispers. Just the frantic beating of my heart. His eyes widened, shocked. What had I done? Their millionaire palates couldn't fathom what had just unfolded. The room erupted. Gasps, shouts, accusations. The chefs argued fiercely, their faces all twisted in disbelief. All eyes were on me now. I had rewritten the rules, flipped the script, but the consequences were unknown. A sinking feeling filled my stomach. Had I gone too far? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The aftermath of my impulsive culinary gamble reverberated through the kitchen like a seismic shockwave. I stood frozen, a spectator to the chaos I had inadvertently spawned. The chefs, once engrossed in their posturing, now turned on one another with the ferocity of animals in a feeding frenzy. The magnificent head chef, who had once seemed untouchable, slammed his hand down onto the counter, rattling pots and silverware. You think this is some kind of game? This isn't a playground for your amateur experiments. His voice boomed, shaking my resolve. But amongst the commotion, a flicker of something, was it admiration or annoyance? Danced in his eyes for just a moment before shielding itself behind a veil of irritation that I could feel the weight of their gazes, piercing through me like arrows, each one aimed at my flawed ambition. I had taken a stand, but what was there to gain if it led to my demoralization? As tensions flared, a familiar voice sliced through the madness. It was Clara, the pastry chef, her bright orange hair a beacon in the turbulent sea of white jackets. Hold on a second. Did you try it? What did it taste like? I could sense her unwavering belief, but the others scoffed at her question, belittling everything in sight. The dish, my skill, the very essence of innovation. Enough! I shouted, surprising myself with the sound. My voice trembled as it sought to rise above the din. You don't get it. This is what we need. Something different, something fresh. If you're so set on perfection, then why are you afraid to evolve? A heavy silence fell over the group. It was a moment of vulnerability, the kind that leaves you breathless. For the first time they saw Minute just a dishwasher, but someone who craved to be part of their world, to contribute meaningfully instead of merely cleaning the aftermath of their culinary battles. You think you know better? The head chef challenged, his fists clenched. Doubt flickered in my chest, painfully palpable. Maybe I didn't know better. The notion that I could somehow reshape their reality felt ludicrous amidst swirling emotions. Maybe you'll never be a chef, I admitted, heart pounding in my ears. But in this chaos, can't you at least listen? It's not about stakes and stars. It's about what you create together. Isn't that what we all wanted when we first fell in love with cooking? The kitchen still simmered, but there was a change, a crack in the armor of invulnerability. The millionaires may have been momentarily silenced, yet I sensed the flutter of something deeper, perhaps an unexpected camaraderie simmering beneath the bravado. As the chefs began to murmur amongst themselves, I retreated into the corner. The lingering disbelief weighed heavily on me as I wiped my hands on my apron, the fabric cool against my clammy palms. What I had dared to do had ignited their passionate debates, turning me into a catalyst for their own introspections about their craft. Yet lurking beneath their outrage was something else: doubt, a hint of acknowledgement that perhaps they had lost sight of what brought them here in the first place. Then Clara approached me again, her expression softer now, filled with sparks of glow. You're right. I sometimes forget that cooking is an art, not just a science. Maybe we all do. Those words tumbled around in my mind, momentary rays of hope glimmering through the shadows that had encased my heart. I stole a glance at the brass clock hanging above the stoves. I had lost track of time entirely, but it felt like a lifetime since the turmoil began. Suddenly, the head chef focused his furrowed brow in my direction again. You may have sparked our interest, but don't think this is the end. His voice adopted a quieter tone, pregnant with meaning. If we're going to argue about flavor, we're going to do it properly. Before I could respond, he waved a hand and returned to the chaos of a bustling kitchen, reassembling his authority amongst the discord. Clara squeezed my shoulder, an unexpected comfort. You did well. In your own way, you've challenged them. They need that. In that moment, a sense of belonging wrapped around me, yet uncertainty loomed. What remained of my own aspirations? Had I truly ignited a shift in their world, or was it merely a fleeting spark destined to wither under pressure? As the chefs hurried back to work, I took a deep breath, accepting the uncertainty that filled the kitchen like steamy warmth. Meanwhile, an unfamiliar noise pooled at the entrance, drawing my attention. It was odd, almost out of place amid the cacophony of chopping vegetables and clattering cutlery. That a figure stood silhouetted in the doorway, shadows dancing around them. The head chef's expression morphed to one of guarded concern. My heart skipped, then raced as the figure stepped into the light. It was a woman, draped in a tailored suit, her expression unreadably a stranger in an environment I thought I understood intimately. Are you the one who made that dish? She asked, her voice smooth but commanding, as if the very air shifted around her presence. The weight of her inquiry settled on my shoulders like lead. Inwardly, a storm brewed of doubt and anticipation. Had I unleashed more than just culinary challenges tonight? In this kitchen of millionaires, was I ready to face whatever she represented? The atmosphere grew thick with anticipation, as if every soul in the kitchen held their breath along with me. The woman stepped forward, her sharp heels clicking on the tiled floor, each step echoing with an air of authority that made my hands tremble once more. I fumbled nervously with my apron, searching for the words to respond. Yes, I did. I swallowed hard, feeling the room's collective attention shift toward me like a magnetic force. The head chef's pride and irritation were now intertwined, a tapestry of emotions that represented my influence on this hallowed ground. Her lips curled slightly, but her eyes remained icy, scanning me as if judging the contents of my heart. Interesting, she remarked, nodding as if she had uncovered a hidden gem. I've been observing this establishment, and I see potential, untapped potential. I couldn't quite process what she meant by potential, especially with a concoction that had left the kitchen nearly in ruins. But as she continued, I felt the impulse to lean forward, hungry for comprehension. I am the head of a prominent culinary academy, and what transpires in this kitchen tonight speaks volumes about the culture you're all entrenched in. Her gaze darted behind me to the other chefs, their expressions a mix of curiosity and defensiveness. You, the dishwasher, she continued, drawing the focus back to me as if I were the centerpiece of a delicate dish. You dared to change the game. But what happens when the flavor you create doesn't cater to the elite palate? Each word was a challenge, laced with a critique that felt sharper than any knife. The camaraderie I'd sensed just moments ago began to dissolve amidst her scrutiny, pouring cold water on the fragile warmth I had built. What's at stake here isn't merely a dish. It's your very identities. Are you chefs simply chasing accolades? Or are you artists creating meaning? She gestured dramatically toward the stoves. The head chef clenched his jaw, and I felt the tension soar like steam from a boiling pot. She's right, he said, begrudgingly admitting. What the hell have we become? We're juggling trends, metrics, and revenues instead of flavors that evoke emotion. That acknowledgement was a spark, illuminating cracks in their critical facades. A flicker of hope seeped through the heaviness that enveloped the kitchen. I met Clara's gaze across the counter. Hers was a mixture of fear and relief. Had I unwittingly taken the first step toward igniting a profound transformation? But as quickly as hope surfaced, it mingled with doubt. What did I know about culinary artistry? Was it possible that one solitary dish could tear down the walls of indifference that had fortified this establishment for years? The woman smiled, sensing the churn of emotions, both fragile and vehement. Let's put this to the test. A challenge, perhaps? If your dish provokes enough passion, you could be offered a place in my academy. But if you fail, well, she left the ultimatum hanging, an executioner's blade suspended in air, ready to drop. A hushed silence descended once more, my heart thudding with a ferocity that rendered my vision momentarily blurry. The other chefs exchanged cautious glances, weighing the uncharted potential against the fear of failure. Moments turned into an eternity. I was paralyzed by uncertainty. The head chef's eyes bore into me, filled with a myriad of expectations and unspoken questions, wondering if I could truly take up this mantle. What could a lowly dishwasher have to offer? Perhaps a fool's errand disguised as a courageous leap. Yet amid the tumult of my thoughts, I heard Clara's gentle voice rise above the noise. You know what? We either pull together and support each other or remain lost in our own egos. Competition can ignite creativity, but community fuels true passion. Let's show her what we're made of. The warmth in her voice rekindled my belief. It was risky, but beneath the fear, a flicker of possibility ignited within me. All right, I declared, surprising myself with the steadiness in my voice. I accept your challenge. But not just for me'll do this. For all of us. The heads turned, a collective twist of shock and intrigue spinning through the room. The head chef's expression shifted, his brow furrowed but with a hint of admiration I hadn't noticed before, and Clara beamed, a rare warmth breaking through the tension. But just as a tremor of unity began to swirl around us, an abrupt crash echoed from outside, the sound reverberating like thunder against glass. The front door swung open, revealing chaos, a group of reporters, their cameras flashing and voices rising in clamorous demands, colliding with the delicate peace we were beginning to forge. Is it true? Are you the dishwasher challenging the elite? One shouted, eyes wide with disbelief. Caught in the crosshairs of this newfound attention, I felt the heat rise, the thrill of the moment tinged with fear. Was this a chance for creative liberation? Or a deadly ultimatum set against glaring lights and high stakes? The world I'd been trembling on the edge of was now thrusting me forward into an arena I had never imagined, one fraught with risks far greater than I had ever dared to dream. Suddenly, my venture felt less like a brave expedition, and more like a precarious cliff I teetered on, the fall looming ever closer. And yet, the challenge had been granted, and I had no choice but to leap into the abyss, buoyed by the fragile hopes of camaraderie amidst chaos, with a single dish that could either shatter dreams or reshape them entirely. As the reporters flooded the kitchen, their eager questions crashed against the walls, mingling with the rising tide of tension that had become all too familiar. A cacophony of flashbulbs illuminated faces, both familiar and foreign, as whispers turned into frantic exchanges. Would I, a mere dishwasher, truly challenge chefs who had spent decades mastering culinary artistry? I stumbled backward into the sanctuary of the dishwashing station, feeling the tide of uncertainty rise again. The head chef unexpectedly stepped forward. Just give us a moment. His voice boomed, quieting the reporters for an instant. But the relative silence was filled with the apprehension of uncertainty, lingering like the scent of burnt garlic from the previous mishap. Clara, always a steady presence, joined me at the sink. She was washing a stack of plates but also grounding me with her steady gaze. "You've planted the seed and they can't unsee it," she whispered, a smile tugging at her lips that shimmered with an earnest shine. "This is our opportunity, not just yours." As the sudden storm of attention simmered, I couldn't help but glance over at the chefs, their expressions a mix of fear and reluctant excitement. What if this was it? What if this challenge was a leap into heights we'd long abandoned? The art of cuisine laid bare before us, a canvas awaited, but my heart raced at the thought of failure. "Let's not get overwhelmed," the head chef murmured, his brow unfurrowing slightly. "We can use this chaos to find clarity. Focus on what you want your dish to represent." He turned to the reporters, a reluctant confidence punctuating his demeanor. "Well, create something extraordinary. You'll see." A flicker of belief bloomed within me, but uncertainty still nestled deep in my chest. What could I even attempt? I barely had any experience beyond pushing through the hectic rhythm of the kitchen, washing pots covered in remnants of culinary masterpieces. And yet Clara's words continued to echo in my thoughts. In a hushed voice I asked, "What if it's not enough? What if I fail?" The weight of potential collapse felt parental, a looming shadow that could swallow my newfound aspiration whole. Clara paused and placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "Then well, rise from it. You're not alone in this. Remember, the idea of failure crushes spirit, but true growth emerges from not fearing it." This could be the moment we break through. A murmur of agreement surged through the other chefs, their cautious expressions morphing into something resembling camaraderie. A spark reignited. Slipping away from my fears, I felt the pulse of energy flow from Clara and into me, a gentle prod urging me forward. "Okay," I breathed, resolved. "I'll make a dish that reflects not just our skills but our stories, what we stand for as a team." The head chef nodded, his steely gaze softened with renewed purpose. "Then we must move quickly. The world is watching, and we'll need every hand on deck. This isn't just a dish, it's a statement." Together we rushed into action, gathering ingredients scattered across the kitchen like vibrant pigments awaiting combination. Each chef contributed a little piece of themselves, something hidden under layers of doubt and competition, fragile shards now transforming into the mosaic of a singular creation. As I worked, I could feel threads of warmth stitching the collective hopes back together, their echoes reverberating inside me. Laughter bubbled in the corners, tempered with burgeoning joy. Clara wielded spices with the confidence of an artist juxtaposing hues. Her fierce spirit ignited something profound within the rest of us. It was an unorthodox concoction of camaraderie mixed with fierce ambition, something undeniably beautiful. The sounds of frying pans, bubbling pots, and stirring spoons created an orchestra, and amidst the clatter, I caught sight of the head chef's approving nod. But just as we were crafting a masterpiece, the kitchen doors burst wide open again, and impatience echoed. This time it was the Culinary Academy representative, a man with a shrewd gaze and an aura of authority that rolled in like a storm cloud. "I'm here to gather insights for the upcoming feature," he declared, scouring our chaotic scene with keen eyes. "But I must be honest, it's a distraction you've asked for and am skeptical that you can deliver amidst such hullabaloo." Frustration rippled through the spirits of my fellow chefs. Clara shot me a look that asked, "What now?" The pressure was mounting, and the ticking clock was an uninvited reminder of the stakes. The reporters would be back any second, and I felt the gnawing doubt seep into my bones again, but as I looked around, I saw the glimmers of hope in each cook's eyes, hearts pounding in tandem with the rhythm of our creation. My focus sharpened, and a burst of inspiration struck, a sudden clarity that had eluded me moments prior. "We can use their doubts," I exclaimed. "What if we create something that tells them they don't know us but we know art? We can craft a dish that embodies defiance and tenderness." The room buzzed with agreement, a hum of energy rising as we worked fervently, piecing together our culinary rebellion against the odds. Feelings of belonging, pride, and resilience danced in the air, blurring the lines between individual and team, and the kitchen erupted into a euphoric frenzy. The man stood at the edge of our chaotic theater, observing us with skepticism morphing into intrigue. Could we, mere cooks united under a dishwasher's dream, really craft something remarkable? But just as I felt the flame of hope ignite, a flurry of flashbulbs illuminated the room once more, signaling the reporter's return. With the pressure reaching its peak, I plastered a determined smile on my face while the chaos swirled around us. I was dizzy with the weight of expectation, teetering on the hairy edge of destiny, and just as we were about to plate our dish, a shadow fell across the countertop. It was the head chef's expression of quiet horror. "What if it's too late?" he whispered. "What if we can't prove ourselves under this kind of scrutiny?" And just like that, the excitement began to shatter into shards of doubt, leaving me to wonder once more. Could we emerge from this unfathomable challenge whole? Or would we crumble under the pressures of ambition and scrutiny? In that moment, the kitchen felt like a fragile universe, one dish away from either soaring triumph or devastating collapse, and the uncertainty hung thick in the air, cutting deeper than any knife. I stood on the precipice, the edge of the countertop feeling unsteady beneath my hands as whispers of doubt clawed at the corners of my mind. The head chef's horror-stricken expression loomed large, amplifying the fear that had begun as an undercurrent but was now a full-fledged tide, threatening to drown us all. The reporter's laughter echoed like an ominous bell, each chime a reminder of how fragile our situation had become. They were not here to witness the beauty of teamwork, they were here for a spectacle, ready to feast on failure. I could almost hear the gears of speculation turning in their minds, waiting for the story to unfold. The dishwasher's folly. The ambitious cooks who dared too much. As I glanced at Clara, her steadfast gaze flickering with determination, my resolve began to harden. We were standing together on shaky ground, but the collective heartbeat of the kitchen pulsed like an anthem of our shared dreams. Beneath the layers of panic, there lay something akin to sacredness, a bond forged in flour and tears, laughter and strife. Suddenly, the weight of doubt shifted. What if it didn't have to be perfect? Perhaps it would never be enough for the glossy pages of magazines or the critical eyes of the culinary elite. But it could be real, it could be a reflection of us. Our stories stitched together in a harmonious amalgamation of flavors. "Let's embrace the chaos," I urged, feeling a spark of conviction ignite within me. "Let's make it ours, flawed and beautiful." Clara's smile widened, the glow of her spirit illuminating the dim corners of my mind. "Exactly. We can't let them define us. We have our lives, our struggles, and our triumphs. That deserves to be celebrated." With her words clinging to the air like the fragrant basil we were chopping, I turned my attention back to the ingredients strewn about the counter. Every piece carried a story. I grabbed a handful of vibrant cherry tomatoes, their sweetness embodying the warmth of summer afternoons spent in laughter with friends. I squeezed the juice from one, and it dripped like the sun melting away winter's chill around me. I saw the other chefs begin to share their stories, the stories buried beneath ambition and competition now surfacing like treasures washed ashore. One chef reached for spices that paid homage to her grandmother's secret seasoning. Another delicately arranged greens that mirrored the fields of love and labor inherited from generations past. Each ingredient transformed into a confession, words spilling out in the form of culinary creations, but I could sense the encroaching dread again. The looming presence of the Academy representative who had not moved an inch from his post. His eyes burned with skepticism, as if daring us to fail. What would it take for him to see the passion behind this dish? Moments before I could lose my nerve, an unexpected kindness emerged. One of the younger chefs, timid yet resolute, stepped closer with a small handmade fire-roasted salsa. "I thought it could add a zing to our dish, like a spark of life," he said, his cheeks flushed with boldness. "Perfect," I exclaimed, my spirits lifting with the infusion of hope. The salsa was bright, colorful, and bursting with authenticity, everything we were striving to create. This was the essence we were missing, a celebration of our many threads, woven together in a vibrant tapestry. Time flew by in a whirl of chopping, stirring, and plating as our dish began to take shape, an imperfect masterpiece that shimmered on the counter like a dream. But even as we worked, whispers of uncertainty coiled in the air like smoke. The oppressive deadline loomed large. The reporters were waiting just beyond the door, sharpening their knives, where they would soon turn their focus toward us. Finally, as the last sprig of garnish was placed upon our creation, I glanced at the head chef once more. He was unwavering in his resolve, his eyes reflecting the fire inside him. "Whatever happens next, be proud," he murmured, his voice low and steady, infused with an age-old wisdom that sought to rally us together one last time. "This is about more than just the dish. It's about who we are." We all gathered around the plate adorned with our collective offerings, an emblem of our journey. It was more than food. It was heart and history, a testament to resilience and unity amid doubt. I could feel Clara's hand squeezing mine. The warmth of solidarity served as a reminder that we would rise or fall together. But just as we prepared to present our creation to the world, a sharp gasp rippled through the air, cutting through our moment of triumph. "Wait!" The Academy representative's voice rose above the chaos as he took a step forward, eyes wide with disbelief. This is different." His expression was a mix of shock and the kind of wonder I had craved to see. In this moment, it felt as if all our fears were about to culminate into something profound. But before he could finish, the kitchen door burst open, revealing an unexpected face, one I had hoped to avoid amidst the flurry. A former competitor, someone whose rise to stardom in the culinary world had been like a comet streaking through the night sky, now stood in the doorway, eyes locked on me. "What are you doing here?" I breathed, confusion layering over the adrenaline that had surged in response to my creation. His smirk was sharp and edged with underlying intent. "I just came to see how the dishwasher planned to topple the elite. But it seems you've gotten a bit ahead of yourself. Let's see if you can handle the backlash when everyone knows the truth." With those chilling words lingering in the air, the foundations of my hard-won hope began to tremble. The stakes had risen dramatically, and I could feel the trailing winds of impending chaos stirring just beyond the horizon. The taste of vulnerability settled bitterly on my tongue. What truth did he hold? Would our moment of pride slip from our grasp, devoured by a past I thought I had overcome? The weight of uncertainty pressed down like a storm, my heart racing as the kitchen, once filled with joy and hope, now brimmed with ominous foreboding. I could only hold my breath, teetering on the edge of revelation, knowing that in this kitchen, dreams could rise or break in an instant. As the whispers of my former competitor echoed in my mind, an unexpected chill enveloped the kitchen. I could feel the mood shift from ecstatic to tense in an instant, like the sudden change from summer sun to a brewing storm. My hand shook slightly as I turned to face Clara, who was staring at our creation. Our collective heart and souls poured into this dish, her expression now clouded with confusion and worry. "What truth?" Clara's voice trembled with the weight of uncertainty, turning our moment of triumph into something that felt bewilderingly fragile. The excitement that just minutes before coursed through the kitchen now thudded ominously with doubt. I dared not answer, my mind racing to piece together what my rival had hinted at. I had spent years striving for validation, breaking through the shadows of my past to achieve a sense of belonging in this world that often felt unwelcoming. And yet here he was, peeking through the curtains of my life, ready to tear down the fragile facade I had painstakingly built. The rest of the kitchen staff exchanged furtive glances, their expressions a kaleidoscope of anxiety, curiosity, and the shared desire to shield their sanctuary from impending disruption. The head chef clenched his jaw, silently weighing whether to confront the threat or protect our creation. The moment stretched painfully, each second amplifying our uncertainty. I thought we could celebrate, but I see now I might have misjudged the unforeseen consequences, my rival taunted, his voice tainted with an edge that beckoned attention. "Don't forget, the culinary world is unforgiving, especially for those who dare to disturb the status quo. Your little dish isn't the only thing that's about to be scrutinized." Before I could muster a retort, a figure stepped into the doorway beside him, mentor, the very person who had shown me the ropes and ignited my passion in this culinary chaos. Her presence infused a warmth that was desperately needed in that cold moment. "Eli, what are you doing here?" she questioned, her tone elegantly interweaving authority with concern. "Just came to see how the underdog was doing," he replied, his smirk unwavering. "But I see it's more complex than mere ambition, isn't it? Perhaps those who dwell near the sinks have things they're hiding too." I swallowed hard, feeling the air thicken as his words attempted to weave a web of doubt. Memories washed over me, visions of late nights bent over a sink, of navigating through messy turbulence and deep fears of being less than worthy. Who had I been to think I could step into this realm? My heart raced under the pressure of my past rising to meet me. What did he mean? Did he know something about my journey that I didn't want anyone else to see? But then I caught Clara's eye, her unwavering support standing like a beacon. "We're not afraid of your games, Eli," she said, stepping forward. "We've poured everything into this dish. We've chosen authenticity over accolades. If there's anything to know, let it be that we stand together. Whatever obstacles you throw at us, we'll face them head on." Her words hung in the air, igniting the embers of unity and fortitude among the other chefs. But I could feel tension flicker beneath the surface. What if Eli had a card to play that could undermine everything we had fought for? My heart raced with a mix of anxiety and anger. You think courage can shield you from the truth, don't you? Ella's eyes gleamed with a predatory hunger for drama, which seeped through the walls of what had once felt like a sanctuary. But sometimes the truth is the bitterest spice of all. I could destroy you with just a whisper. Before I could respond, the head chef stepped forward, his gaze fierce and unwavering. We didn't come this far to be intimidated by uncertainty. We've cultivated a new narrative here, one that's rooted in resilience instead of fear. I clung to his words, emboldened by the strength of those around me. Then in a powerful moment it dawned on me. This might be my chance to confront everything I had bottled within me all this time. Whatever dirt you think you have, Eli, I won't hide anymore, I declared, the tension shifting as I took a step toward him. A brave stillness settled over the kitchen, a shared moment of daring defiance. You can bring whatever chaos you want, but I refuse to let it dictate our worth. This dish represents who we are, who I am. And if you've got something to say, say it. Because I'm done standing in the shadows for a heartbeat. I saw a flicker of surprise cross Ella's features, as if my resolve had caught him off guard. But just as quickly, his facade returned, veering towards scorn. Very well, but the truth has a way of surfacing. You'll find that out soon enough, and with that, he turned on his heel, striding out of the kitchen with a confidence that withdrew warmth from our surroundings. My heart raced as the door closed behind him, a tumult of emotions grappling within me like opposing forces. There was a moment of deep silence as we processed what had just unfolded, vulnerability and strength intertwining like threads of our tapestry. The kitchen felt different now, the air heavy with the possibility of truth, both freeing and terrifying. Are we ready for this? Can we face whatever he brings? Clara asked, her voice a tremor of fear and determination. I took her hand, and it felt like a lifeline. We're stronger together. Whatever the truth is, we face it as a team. We've created something beautiful, and we won't allow anyone to dull its shine. The room breathed again, the tension morphing into a silent pact among ourselves. We would guard our creation, but as the reality of impending confrontation loomed larger, my heart whispered an unsettling truth. There was a darkness waiting just beyond the surface of our small culinary haven. As we gathered around the dish one last time, an overwhelming sense of foreboding settled into my bones, an emotion that felt alarmingly similar to the weight of failure I had feared for so long. The unknown hung about us like fog, but even in that uncertainty, we prepared to face our fate. But another gasp swept through the kitchen, shattering the moment. Wait, what's happening? One of the junior chefs pointed toward a screen mounted on the wall, where a live news feed was streaming the event beyond our kitchen walls. My heart dropped as I leaned forward, my breath catching. The screen showed Eli standing behind a microphone, a crowd of reporters swarming like vultures. Ladies and gentlemen, he declared, his smile sharp enough to cut, I have uncovered some shocking revelations about the so-called daring chef who dares to challenge the elite. As the rest of his words leaked through the air, my heart raced with dread. An avalanche of uncertainty was about to come crashing down. I only wished I knew how deep the chasm was before us, and if we had the strength enough to face whatever truth emerged from the shadows. The ambience in the kitchen shifted as the screens began to flicker with images of me, memories I thought I had buried threatening to resurface. My heart pounded louder with each word Eli uttered, echoing like a drum signaling an impending storm. It felt as if every chef in the room collectively held their breath, waiting for the fallout. This is it, Clara whispered, her fingers tightening around mine. What have we done to deserve this? I couldn't answer her, my throat constricted with fear and anger. Images of my past danced in my mind. The disappointment in my father's eyes when I chose a path that diverged from his expectations. The nights spent scrubbing dishes instead of cooking, yearning to create instead of serving. Eli's voice continued to pour venomous allegations into the world, each phrase a dagger aimed at my identity. And now, he said, the smirk on his face evident even through the screen, we will delve into the secrets hidden behind this incredible dish that has supposedly taken the culinary world by storm. What's this about a dishwasher with a dream? Prepare yourselves for the twist no one saw coming. The world outside the kitchen pressed in. My colleagues exchanged worried glances, fear etching itself into each familiar face. I could see the doubts flickering, the question of whether our humble creation was worth this kind of exposure overshadowing our earlier determination. But deeper still, I felt a spark womb within me, a resolve built on countless hours of toil that demanded to be acknowledged. Clara, sensing the turmoil within me, stepped forward. Whatever he's revealing, it doesn't matter. You've worked harder than anyone here, and you've fought through the shadows. Don't let him rewrite your narrative. We'll support you. Her words were like a beacon leading me through the fog of my fears. The support of my friends, of my kitchen family, reminded me that I was not alone in this battle. Still, doubt pressed heavily against the walls of my heart. What secrets had Eli unearthed? What fragile threads was he unraveling? The screen continued playing Ella's commentary, and then it landed an accusation I had hoped would remain buried. It appears there are discrepancies in our chef's background, from washing corn to plating perfect soufflés. But what of the unusual circumstances surrounding his training? Speculations abound of dubious mentors and questionable practices. My breath hitched as the memory of my mentor surfaced, her own past entwined with mine. The one who took a risk on a nameless dishwasher, the very reason I stood here today, had her commitment dragged into the court of public opinion. Eli was painting a picture that could transform admiration into disdain, a plot twist capable of sowing division amongst peers and patrons alike. Now the true question, he said, pausing momentarily for dramatic effect, is whether we're truly ready to accept our hero as he is. An outcast fighting against the elite, or just a simple dishwasher with a lucky break. My vision blurred as I fought tears. It felt like someone had removed the ground beneath me, leaving a void that echoed painfully. If Eli was digging into my past, threatening to expose every shaky moment, it was not only my reputation on the line but Clara's support, my mentor's faith, our collective hope pinned to the dish. I didn't want to be a disgrace, I murmured, the words slipping from my lips before I could catch them. The weight of betrayal settled deep within me. All I could muster was fear that the struggle I had endured to build my identity would collapse under the scrutiny of society, willing to tear someone apart for a story. Eli knows how to play this game. A chef from the back whispered, his eyes glued to the screen, and he'll use anything to win. But we're not going to let him take you down. Remember, we chose authenticity. Don't let him twist your truth. Clara nodded with fierce conviction. We protect what we've created together. You've earned your place at this table. My heart surged with their faith, like a flame igniting against the chill of doubt. But fear remained a cloud overshadowing my spirit as Eli continued his tale, each word more cutting than the last, unraveling fear and shame within me that I thought I had banished. And just as he seemed to draw the curtain on the biggest reveal, the unexpected happened. One of the senior chefs stepped forward, cutting through the tension like a knife. Enough! He shouted, his voice booming and fierce. The attention shifted as he raised a fist in defiance. Let's show you what real unity looks like. Everyone in this kitchen knows the price of ambition. We'll not stand for this manipulation. You want our story? Let's take it back. A wave of movement sparked in the kitchen, energy shifting from fear to solidarity as others joined him, facing the screen with defiance and determination in our eyes. You think you can tear our brother down? We've got each other, and we will rise together, and well defend every truth this man stands for. Just as the atmosphere reached its peak, a sudden clarity coursed through me, a realization that maybe this moment of chaos held the key to something greater. My identity wasn't just a singular narrative. It was entwined and enriched by those I had shared it with. But before I could respond, the door swung open, revealing my mentor standing there, her expression a mixture of anger and disbelief, but most importantly, understanding. In her hand she clutched a file, ominously thick and overflowing with documents. Eli won't take you down, she said firmly, walking towards the screen that continued to spew venom. But you must be prepared for the truth to come to light, because it's time. I shared mine too. With that proclamation, the room fell silent, as the anticipation of a dozen ambitions collided and waited, holding their breath for the stories nestled within us all to be told. Behind this whirlwind of emotions, I realized, the confrontation was only beginning. What lay beneath the kitchen surface was more tangled than I had ever imagined, and as the spotlight shifted, so too did the very fabric of our united journey. This was the moment I had feared, the time to confront every shadow and face every whisper. My heart pounded with exhilaration and dread as I braced for the wave of truth, hoping against hope that it wouldn't drown us all before we could decipher what it truly meant for each of us. The moment hung in the air, charged with unspoken truths waiting to unravel. My mentor's presence felt like a lifeline, though fear about what she was about to reveal fluttered anxiously in my stomach. Clara squeezed my hand, grounding me amidst the storm. "Whatever it is, we're in this together," she whispered, her eyes burning with fierce loyalty. Ella's voice droned on from the screen, oblivious to what was brewing just behind his lens. "Some people say it's not how you start but how you finish," he laughed, a predator relishing the hunt. "But the truth is, there are some finishes too far off from grace." "Shut him down," a voice cried from the back, igniting murmurs of agreement. The kitchen started to buzz and move, a mix of anger and support swelling in our small haven. "Let's show him we know who we are, something he can't touch," another chef called out. The energy shifted with a tangible rhythm, uniting us in our indignation, but my mentor stood firm, disregarding the noise, her expression resolute as she faced the screen. "Eli, if you think you know how this story ends, you're sorely mistaken." As she spoke, she opened the file in her hands, revealing a cascade of papers, each one a testament to the hidden journey we'd all taken beneath every dish. "There's a history worth telling, and behind every chef, there lies the power of shared experiences." She flipped the first couple of pages, revealing photographs of her own early days in the culinary world, filled with mentors whose backs turned on her when she made decisions they deemed foolish. The evidence of her struggles was laid bare, not the glamorous moments highlighted by praise, but the gritty truth of sacrifices endured. "You see," she continued, her voice steady, "every successful chef has an untold story. Just like you, I was once looked down upon, underestimated, and pushed aside. But that didn't define me. The journey did." An unexpected silence fell over the room. Even Eli was momentarily taken aback, uncertainty flickering across his face. In that quiet, I felt a softness pulse at my core, the recognition that we were part of something bigger than ourselves. "Life isn't just about where you start or even where you finish, but all the messy moments in between," she said, raising her eyes, connecting with each of us. "This journey doesn't just belong to me. It belongs to every one of you, to the drudgery of washing dishes, to the thrill of plating our dish that we concocted together." A wave of compassion circled the kitchen as memories of our shared hardships filled the air, stories of late nights, burnt fingers, and dreams tucked away until time permitted them to blossom. The camaraderie pulsed within us like molten lava, ready to explode. "You are all here because you believed in something beyond just making food," she added, her gaze locking onto mine, intense and unwavering. "We share this kitchen, this dream, and we will protect it. Not just from Eli or his venomous campaign, but from our own insecurities that can drown out the voices of belief." Each heartbeat echoed with a newfound determination, strong enough to withstand even the sharpest barbs Eli could throw. Just as the energy crescendoed, a new revelation crashed into my consciousness amidst the comfort of solidarity. What if Eli harbored a truth of his own that could dismantle what we thought we knew? Was his manipulative campaign a smokescreen for something deep, of fear or vulnerability rooted in his past? I had seen the glint in his eyes when he initially showed the photographs from the kitchen, a mix of challenge and intrigue. What drove him, I began to realize, was more than just the desire for ratings. It felt personal, a mission possibly laced with his own history of failure or rejection. As my mentor concluded her initial remarks, the crowd erupted with a mixture of cheers and cries reclaiming our narrative, but I couldn't shake the new thread weaving its way through my thoughts. What revelations awaited us in the shadows of that kitchen that night? "Remember this moment," my mentor said, her voice rising above the noise, "because it's time to take our story away from him. Together we will rise, and we will serve notice to the world that it's not just a single dish that represents us. It's the heart and sweat from all our shared journeys." The chefs rallied, adding their voices to an anthem of resilience, while I stood momentarily paralyzed by uncertainty. Yet, just as hope began to unfurl within me, the screen flickered again. Eli grinned, no longer just a petty rival but a threatening figure in the narrative I thought we could shape. "You think him done?" he snapped, piercing through the atmosphere with a sly twist of his voice. "Oh no, this is just the beginning. There's something no one here knows, something about you that could shift this whole game." The kitchen went cold in an instant, snapping my attention back. My heart raced as the weight of anticipation gripped me. What could he possibly reveal? Already the terrain felt treacherous, And the bonds I thought were forged in flame began to falter as new seeds of doubt planted themselves in the recesses of my mind. What truth of mine had he unearthed that could change everything beyond the simple dish, beyond our struggles? The ground seemed to tremble beneath me, an earthquake of emotional turmoil, as I prepared for whatever tsunami of revelation Eli had unleashed. There was a raw vulnerability shimmering in the eyes of my colleagues. Their faces echoed confusion and anticipation, and with that revelation creeping closer, I had to face the dim possibility that perhaps the most intricate recipe we had to master was the one for surviving both betrayal and newfound truths woven into the tapestry of our lives. The kitchen, which had burned so brightly with hope moments earlier, now existed in an eerie stillness as we all awaited Ellis' revelation. Anxiety clung to the air like steam, and I could feel the weight of curiosity pressing down upon my shoulders. I glanced around at Clara, who wore a mix of defiance and dread on her face, a silent plea for reassurance. I squeezed her hand again, searching for words to bridge the uncertainty between us, but all I found were empty breaths trapped in my throat. Maggie, Eli continued, his smirk growing as he leaned into the screen. I know your secret. The one you thought you could keep hidden in the shadows. Those words cut through the atmosphere like a knife, leaving silence in their wake. The last time you were in the spotlight, it didn't end quite the way you'd hoped, did it? A shiver trembled down my spine as I grasped the tenuous thread unspooling before me. Eli was stirring feelings I had buried, carefully placed beneath layers of ambition and passion. I could feel a cold sweat forming on my brow, and my heart pounded in a frantic rhythm that matched the chaos in the kitchen. Flashes of that pivotal moment in my life shot through me like lightning when I had walked away from everything I had worked for, the bright lights of culinary competition swallowed by shame. I had built walls of resilience around those memories, crafting a new identity in this kitchen. But here was Eli, threatening to dismantle me with my own history, laying bare my vulnerabilities for all to see. What does he mean? Clara whispered, her grip on my hand tightening. I couldn't meet her gaze. My eyes were fixated on the screen, watching as the contours of Ellis' expression morphed into something sinister, a predator poised to strike. Your fall, my dear, he continued, relishing the moment. That last dish you created? The one that cost you your dreams? You've built your whole life on it, but traces still linger. You think they've forgotten? I know better. The laughter from his words felt coated in barbs, designed to inflict pain and unrest. Suddenly, the intensity of the moment broke me. The voices of my fellow chefs, once supportive, had begun to quiet, and I could see the glimmer of doubt in their eyes. I felt the ground beneath my feet shift. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about how my history could unravel the very fabric of our collective fight. Eli, I finally managed to say, forcing strength into my trembling voice, whatever you think you know, it doesn't define who I am now. This journey has been forged through grit and determination. I won't let you dictate my narrative. My conviction momentarily sparked a flicker of hope, breathing life into the silence around us. A few heads nodded in affirmation, but Eli wasn't finished. You think standing together is enough? He countered, and now his voice was laced with venom. What about old wounds that never heal? Are they going to bring you down when the pressure's on? Because I can assure you, they're the kind of ingredients that can destroy an entire meal, or in this case, your whole career. His gaze turned sharp, honing in on an unguarded moment. Shall I remind everyone how your precious struggle ended? I have video after video. The tension in the kitchen rose to a boiling point, and I felt as if I were trapped under a glass dome, suffocating under the weight of memories and the pressure of the present. My colleagues, once a source of unyielding strength, now stared at me, waiting for my response, questioning my past. Don't let him get to you, Clara implored, her voice urgent yet steady. Ellis just trying to play with your mind to weaken you. You know who you are now. But there was fragile uncertainty flooding my thoughts, colliding with my sense of self, making it hard to breathe. The jagged edges of anxiety clawed at my insides as doubt seeped through, and I looked at my mentor, hoping to find solace in her wisdom. Yet, even she seemed momentarily caught off guard. As if Ellis' threat had reached even her credible armor, with Ellie's fleeting claim of power hanging palpably, I knew I had to regain control of my narrative, to reclaim the strength of my journey, both its beauty and its scars. So I took in a deep breath and fixed my eyes on the screen. You can use fear, Eli, but you can't erase hard work and passion. This kitchen is built on more than just success. It's the love for food, for sharing stories, for embracing mistakes as part of our craft. As those words flowed from my heart, I could see the faintest flicker return in the eyes of my teammates. Perhaps I was starting to pull back some of the threads, to weave a narrative that wouldn't just rely on my past fears but would instead unite us, allowing our individual stories to strengthen our resolve. Eli raised an eyebrow, finally taken aback by the sudden surge of conviction. Oh, Maggie, so beautifully naive, but what if I told you I've got momentum on my side? I've seen how weak people can be when their colors are revealed. Before I could formulate a retort, Clara stepped forward, her voice carrying a bold clarity. We won't let you spin this story, Eli. The truth is ours to tell. Stepping back, she looked around, rallying the others like a band of warriors waiting for a signal. I felt warmth spread through Met. His resolve was not just mine anymore. It belonged to all of us, but Eli wasn't done. You think this is merely about a dish? It's about proving who belongs and who doesn't. And you have the potential to pull this whole team down with one wrong move. Just wait until they see what they're missing when you're backflipped into those memories. He paused dramatically. You may just miss your final opportunity. And what if that's when the kitchen door swung open with a sudden crash, and a new figure stepped in amidst the charged atmosphere? A stirring semblance of hope, but hidden beneath layers, was intertwined with uncertainty. My heart halted at the sight of someone I had never expected to see again. Someone who knew my story all too well. The figure's face emerged as they stepped closer. Rachel, my childhood friend, and the one person from my past who had witnessed my fall from grace. The realization hit me like a tidal wave. With her arrival, a storm of unresolved emotions swirled in the air. Would she stand by my side, or would her existence unravel the very fabric of the narrative I had fought to create? With her gaze locked onto mine, I was left suspended in a moment that felt both electric and terrifying. Knowing this was just the beginning of a deeper unraveling, one intertwined with questions of loyalty, past mistakes, and the cathartic possibility of redemption. The kitchen buzzed with tension, both threatening and hopeful, as the revelation of Rachel's presence loomed over us like an approaching storm. The moment hung suspended in the air, thick with everything unsaid. Time stretched as I searched Rachel's face for clues, trying to decipher if she was a friend or a hurricane waiting to descend on my carefully constructed haven. Her eyes, vividly familiar, held so many stories untold. Would she give life to the shadows I had fought to bury? Or would she stand with me against the encroaching storm? Rachel stepped into the kitchen, her heels clacking against the floor, cutting through the tension like a knife. As she approached, the world around me narrowed, focusing on the whirlwind of memories and laughter we once shared, the dreams we had built together in our youth, before they shattered like glass. Maggie, she began, her voice tinted with a mix of warmth and uncertainty. I had to come. I saw Eli him stirring up trouble, and I knew I couldn't let him twist your story. But what do you know? The fierceness of desperation spilled out before I could rein it in. The kitchen fell silent as all eyes swung to us, waiting to see how this would unfold. You haven't been around for years. What can you possibly say that will help? I know you, Maggie, Rachel said, her eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that ignited a familiarity. I know what you've been through, the way you fought your way back from the edge. You're not just a dishwasher. What you've created here tonight is beautiful. But Eli, she hesitated, gauging the air. He's here to remind us of our fears, hoping to tear us down. As her words washed over me, I was reminded of the nights we spent dreaming of better things, of culinary ambitions that felt like lifebuoys when we were drowning in doubt and rejection. The warmth of those memories sparked a flicker of connection, reminding me that I was not alone in my journey. But I don't want to be reminded of the past, I said, the vulnerability seeping through my bravado. I don't want to dive back into the pain of what happened. Rachel stepped closer, the worry swirling in her eyes mingling with determination. Maybe it's not about diving back. Maybe it's about facing what you've always run from. You're stronger now, embrace that strength. Don't let Eli strip you of your identity. I just don't want him to take this from me, I confessed, the veil I had worn beginning to slip away. Every day I've fought to forge something that belongs to me. This dish, this moment, it's not a cover-up. It's my chance to finally stand tall. A collective breath was drawn in the kitchen as my colleagues edged closer, echoing my sentiment. Then let's remind Eli who you truly are, Rachel encouraged, her voice rumbling with conviction. weaving strength through our shared past. Let's harness everything we've learned together. In that moment, the weight of expectation hung thick as my fears collided against the resilient symphony surrounding me. I nodded slowly, a newfound fire kindling deep inside. Together, I said, the words an incantation of hope. We will face whatever truth he tries to unravel. This kitchen stands for more than me. More than any single dish, it embodies our stories, our struggles. A murmur of agreement rippled through my fellow chefs, the ambience shifting from uncertainty to solidarity. Clara stepped forward, arms crossed defiantly. Eli may have his way of manipulating the story, but we will not be the casualties of his insecurities. As the warmth of their support wrapped around me like a cloak, I lifted my chin. Instead of arranging my thoughts in rage against Ella's tactics, I envisioned our culinary creation, a dish born of our collective resilience and love, layered in flavors as profound as our experiences. Let him try to tear us apart. We'll rise together like the dough we need, defying gravity, I declared, the conviction filling my voice, becoming the heart of what we were about to unveil. We won't be known for a moment of failure. We'll be known for how we came together to create something extraordinary. Just then, Ella's smirk faltered, surprise flickering across his features, as though the winds had shifted. He had underestimated the power of community, the heartbeat of creativity woven through vulnerability. And as Rachel placed her hand on my shoulder, a sense of unity settled among us. What is a kitchen if not a crucible for transformation? She said softly, anchoring our shared journey. Well, turn the darkness into light. Just as Eli prepared to speak, a newfound confidence flooded my veins. The truth cuts deep, Eli, but let's stop playing games. Your words may wound, but they'll never define us. We dare to create where others fear. The collective spirit of my fellow chefs surged, arms crossed and brows furrowed in determination, united against any turmoil that threatened to plague our kitchen. Eli could no longer hold us hostage. There's beauty in scars, I continued, locking eyes with the representatives and reporters pressing against the kitchen's edge. Each dish tells a story. Our truth is neither perfect nor unflawed. It's raw and real, and it encapsulates love forged from struggle. Isn't that what the art of culinary creation is all about? The atmosphere crackled with energy as my voice rose alongside newfound purpose. With each heartbeat, I realized we had transformed uncertainty into unfaltering strength. And as we stood together, breathing deeply, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, I felt a rush of serenity amid chaos. Our dish will showcase every sacrifice, every moment of doubt, each layer of resilience, I proclaimed, raising my voice to be heard by everyone in the room. Let's show the world who we truly are. Let's serve not just a dish but the stories that shaped us. A roar of cheers erupted around the kitchen, the air thick with love and defiance. My eyes shimmered with tears fighting to escape, as a newfound resolve coursed through my being. Rachel squeezed my shoulder, a silent promise that no matter how many outsiders sought to undermine our journey, they would never have control over our narratives. Eli could attempt to tear us down, but he would never extinguish the spark what ignited at us. The kitchen overflowed with life. The reminder of our collective story gloriously highlighted in the very dish we'd crafted together. I coupled my heart and my spirit to the essence of who we were. We were a mix of misfits, creative souls, standing vibrantly against naysayers. And as I turned to face the cameras poised at the door, I realized an exhilarating truth. Regardless of the uncertainties ahead, we would imbue our journey with authenticity, fighting hand in hand, rewriting our destinies through what we chose to create next. In the end, what mattered most was the connection we shaped in this kitchen, and for once, I felt truly a testament not just to my own experience, but to the illuminated path ahead for all those who dared to dream. And as the first plate was lifted toward the audience beyond the doors, I knew that whatever happened next, we would stand resilient, woven together in the tapestry of our lives. Because the ultimate dish, our journey together, was ready to be served. It was a moment to savor, and together, we would turn the page to embrace whatever came next, united against the shadows, ready to shine. We are not just chefs, I said, the finality of my voice rippling through the kitchen, quieting the chaos. We are artists who have crafted our stories, and together, we will show the world that we are so much more than the sum of our fears. In that moment, I understood that the truth, however painful, would always set us free. And with that, I took a breath, ready to embrace the next chapter of our journey, and our story was just beginning.